Recently, I started working on a horror cooking game for Steam, so I could make $1 million and retire early. But my game kinda sucks right now. I mean, just look at this. The problem is that I need to make a demo as soon as possible so I can start farming those Steam wishlists to achieve my goal. So I decided enough is enough and I went on to completely overhaul my game. So here's how my game progressed from an early prototype to a fully playable demo in just 30 days. In my first video of this game, I showed how I started creating this concept of a horror cooking game where basically you have to cook meals for a monster and keep feeding him forever and hope you don't die. But as I showed you guys before, this game kind of sucks. It was a really early tech demo and I just wanted to make a video for the sake of it. But now it's time to actually make a game that's cool. So I'm looking to completely overhaul the visuals of this game, the gameplay, and the user experience. Some of the things I want to focus on is making a first pass on the game level, fixing the lighting and particle effects for the visual stuff. And for the gameplay, I wanted to focus on making the mechanics feel much better. In these first couple days of the game, I decided to make the executive choice of changing my game from being a point and click style game to using a first person style gameplay. Ultimately, I did this because it just felt a bit awkward, and since the game is in 3D, I think it just makes a lot more sense to have FPS style movement. So I added camera sway, view bobbing, and reworked the pickup system to work like the Half-Life game. Naturally, I found the kitchen space that I had was a little bit too small. So I decided to completely wipe this level out and start from scratch on a new one. I decided to write down on paper and break down what kind of things I want in this game and this map, and I built a digital simplified 2D map to show where everything can go. I went with a unique approach and I brought this into Unity and made it into a floor and scaled it up so that the player can walk around, and I used this to get a good sense of the dimension and space that we're in. And once I felt like the scale felt nice, I used this map as a base to build my level layout. To design this level, I was thinking about what the player is going to be doing and stuff about the story. So I know the player is going to be some kind of prisoner for this monster, so I want to have a place where the player can live, sleep, and eat in the same kind of general area. For the kitchen first pass, I laid out some walls, tables, and a little order window so you can look through. As you may see here, originally this kitchen, I was going for a fast food style, but after doing a little bit of research and looking at other indie horror titles, I realized that a lot of them do this, and I do want to be kind of different and special and cool. As this video progresses, you'll slowly me shifting from a fast food style kitchen to more of a fancy bougie restaurant style kitchen, so if you see any inconsistencies as you watch it, this is why. Now that I've got my first pass of the kitchen, it's time to spice it up, and I also built a walk-in pantry and fridge, and this is where the player is going to be able to source most of their ingredients for their meals in this game. Speaking of ingredients, I kind of need some 3D models and I'm pretty bad at that. So I messaged my friend Musa to help me out, and she cooked with a bunch of models on this game, and she's going to help me out as a contributor throughout this project. Here we have a grill, a knife, condiment bottles, hot dog buns and sausages, burger buns, patties, cheese, pickle slices, tomato slices, and plates. Once I put these wonderful models in the game, I started working on the new versions of the cooking system. You can now throw knives at vegetables to slice them in half. These slices can be placed on the burger buns and hot dog buns to create meals. These meals have to be made in a specific area, which I've called the assembly zone. For now, it's just either a cutting board or a plate, although the plates are a little glitchy right now, not gonna lie. In this second week, I really focused on getting a lot more of the polish done on this game. The meal assembly system felt a bit flat to me, so I added some lerping animations for the ingredients. They look more like they're assembling together in a meal. When starting for the ordering system, I scrapped the idea of having a window with the monster and instead having a metal box that players can submit their meals to. I think this works better because I can save time and energy on creating models, and it raises tension because the player can't see who they're feeding. I think there's something kind of scary and cool about just putting your meals in a metal box and just having them disappear. Kind of like the Lethal Company monster. But players will need a new way to get the orders if there isn't someone there to tell them. So I'm going for the route of having the orders be on paper tickets that get printed and they can read if they pick it up. These tickets will be printed out by this thing whenever a new order has arrived. I made a quick order rack so that players can keep track of them in case the orders get a little out of hand. My modeler made some pretty fire models to add into the game for this week. So now we got onions and onion slices, pickles, tomatoes, lettuce, and lettuce leaves. Now there's even particle effects for slicing up all the vegetables, which makes it look a lot better. My favorite is the lettuce, cause come on, shout out to leaves. Ingredients can also get dirty and gross now if you leave them on the floor too long, which is gonna affect players' score and earnings in the future, so they gotta make sure to stay clean and hygienic. I'm not trying to see any kitchen nightmares, disasters. I'm trying to see you guys be professional and clean with your cooking in this game. Finally, I went back to finish the basic functionality of the ordering system in this game, and the way that the full ordering system works is that it will randomly generate an order based on the requirements you give it, and then it's going to print out a ticket for the player to read. The player can build the meal. In this case, we got burgers and hot dogs and stuff. Once the meal is done, they throw it in the metal thing with the order ticket and press this big red button, and boom, your meal is gone to the void. Players will be awarded an invisible score based on a couple couple attributes for this meal, and this will determine how they do in the game. I don't really have a name for these attributes for now, but players will be evaluated based on how well they match the order, as well as general hygiene score and their plating. Basically, I want the game to work a little bit like days in Five Nights at Freddy's or Papers, Please, and as the days go along, new meals and ingredients will unlock. The player can now press a button to start their shift. This will start a new timer for the day and start feeding players orders. They'll be evaluated by the amount of orders they can complete in a shift based on the limited time, and also the attributes of the order as well, and at the end of the day they'll get that fat cheddar. I do plan on having player performance tied to both the story and player upgrades, although that stuff is going to be way in the future since I still have a lot I need to do at this point, not gonna lie. I like the idea of giving players as much freedom as they can have, like if they try something it's actually going to work. So for example, if players want, they don't really need to use plates at all if they just find it annoying. They're just going to get a little bit punished for it, you know? If players do submit with a plate though, this goofy ass tube that I probably need to change will eject a dirty plate so that players can clean with a sponge. The gameplay is looking a little bit more cohesive, but the problem is that this game is just not really that scary yet. So I got my 3D modeler to redo some of the lighting in the game since I have no idea how Unity lighting works, and it's looking pretty fire. I do eventually make a little bit of adjustments because I do need to find a balance between it being dark and atmospheric but also actually being able to see what you're cooking. But for now, I'm really liking how this looks, and it's just crazy how much of a difference lighting can make in your game. This was a point of the game where I started to get more of a feel of the style I was going for, and I was ready to ditch that fast food joint style for more of a professional kitchen kind of vibe. So I decided to ditch the hot dogs that I had and go with steaks instead. Steaks are nice because they're pretty simple to make in the game, so they can act like a nice tutorial meal similar to a hot dog, but they actually match that vibe of being a professional restaurant kind of meal. Oh yeah, and if you want to play this demo yourself, you could do that very soon, but you're gonna have to subscribe to this channel to know about it. And if you don't subscribe, I'm gonna eat all the ground beef in your kitchen, so watch out, buddy. I love beef. Finally, I focused on making a main menu for the game, but I wanted my menu to be a little bit different than others. So if any of you have played Black Ops back in the day, you'll know it's got that really cool main menu screen where you're strapped to a chair in a 3D physical space, and you have an in-game TV that acts like the main menu. I think this will make my game a little bit more unique and a little bit more striking when players open it up. In the future, I plan on rehauling this UI to make it look a lot more stylized and make it look like an actual TV. But for now, as a test, it's working pretty good in the game, and I'm liking it. I also added an evaluation ticket at the end of each day to report daily stats and earnings to the player and make it so that players know what they did well and what they did wrong. And for a little bit more interactivity and immersion, I also made it so that you can grill and burn pretty much every other food item in the game. And for the last stretch of this month, I focused on a lot of time on bug fixing and polishing and visual improvements to make sure everything is in a more decent place before I start adding mass amounts of content to get this demo out the door. Notably, I finally completed the meal system, so now you can choose what meals are going to be ordered in a day, and gave myself a lot more flexibility for future implementation of meals within this system. The steak meal has been completed and implemented in the system as well. I also made some changes to the part of the game that has the player's living space. I like the idea that since the player is a prisoner being forced to cook, having the kitchen and the living space in the same building makes it feel a little more confined and claustrophobic. But I still wanted to have a separation between these spaces, so I added an elevator in the hallway to break up the pace of the game and clearly separate when the player is expected to cook versus chill out, kinda like a safe room from Resident Evil. I wanted to give the space a little more of a liminal hotel feel, so I added carpet on the floor instead of hardwood, and I added some trimmings to the doors. And this is what a full month of game dev progress on my game is looking like. While it's definitely early in the process, I'm really happy at the direction my game has turned, and I'm always looking forward to work on it all the time. I'm definitely going to be looking at spending the next month to add a lot more features to the game so that I can prepare for an official demo release and start getting those sweet Steam wishlists I've been craving. For this demo, my main priorities are going to be adding some more sound effects to the game, adding cutscenes, tutorials, and a bunch of new meals and ingredients and different methods to cook to really spice things up for my game. Don't worry, cooking in this game is going to be more than just throwing knife at tomato. Thank you for watching, and remember to please subscribe because I will definitely be showing in the future a way for you to play the demo yourself and give me your harsh feedback, so be nice.